love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up! It's time to look at the enemy. Look in the mirror if he is no friend to me. It's not working out, maybe it's the chemistry. It's time to break up so I can make a better me. Better believe in your mind, cause it's everything. You can mold, shape, find almost anything. All it takes is some time and some clarity to find your identity. It's mind over everything. I'm immortal. When I feel like this, I'm immortal. When I feel like this, I'm immortal. When I feel like this, I'm immortal. Don't be scared. Just keep it up. Don't be scared. Back. I won't stop, I'ma fight until there's nothing left. It's so what? You're gonna be hurting bad, cause I've been to hell and back. You don't wanna make me mad. I stay strong, you will never see me crack. And if you get in my way, you gonna feel the wrath. Gotta say it to my face while he's looking back. Mirror breaks after math, when I hate I attack. I'm immortal. When I feel like this, I'm immortal. When I feel like this, I'm immortal. When I feel like this, I'm immortal. Don't be scared. Just keep it up. Don't be scared. Welcome to my party. We're just getting started. A life is a dream or a nightmare scarring. Hand me a drink cause I think I'm going all in. Get me a shrink who can catch me when I'm falling. Cover up my scars, flip the handlebars. Crashing in my car, wake up in a bar. I'll be a superstar, just on my avatar. This world is so bizarre, empty out the reservoir. Yeah, I'm taking 6 shots, yeah, straight to the face. And I wanna get lost, I'm sick of this place. Don't know how to stop when I'm feeling this way. So I'm taking 6 shots till I'm feeling okay. I think I'm going crazy. Don't think I'll get home safe.
Good morning, sir. It's like I've been exploring this southern parts of the country, and the first thing जिससे मैं शुरू करना चाहता हूँ, how a North Indian guy managing the police department in the southern parts of the country?
Okay, it's in fact, to be honest, I feel so at home here. I feel in all essential respects as like a South Indian guy. I think of myself as that now, and it's been wonderful, to be honest. I see that the people here at large, the administrative systems here, even the way the political system runs here, everything is very, very systematic, and it presents, in fact, opportunities to do a lot of good work. You know, I see that the challenges of administration here are very different from what you would have encountered in the north of India, and I see that because of perhaps the general level of education or administrative development, which happens to be, for historical reasons, slightly higher than in the north of the country. It's in fact actually quite advantageous to an officer to serve and to be part of the administration over here.
I will go a bit deep into it. You said about the cultural and the barriers that you say. So in every state there are some technical terms, and that to match the vibe of the people and to get their hearts. Actually, when being you're the SP of the district, you mostly focus on that. Like if we talk about the northern parts, like in Punjab and other parts, we go for that, or Paji Gidda. And here it comes like Anna. The little things.
Yeah.
How you learn those things?
So there is a lot of respect and affection in the culture here. So you talk of the Telugu culture, for instance. They're very polite, and the language is very sweet, and it eases anybody into it. And when you try to integrate yourself, assimilate in the culture here, people welcome you with open arms, and the language is so polite. And there's a lot of respect for officials, particularly even specifically for police as well. So it's been wonderful. You don't feel like an outsider at all. You feel so loved. You feel so respected in this part of the country as an officer. That it's just I consider it an absolute good fortune of mine to have got this opportunity to be here.
The day I have been seeing you from last 2 days, the first question that came to my mind is like, I'm not saying it's bad, but I would still then think like, why into police department and not into modeling or in acting? Being such a heroistic things, I'm not saying it's bad, but then also because you look like.
Firstly, thank you for that. I truly take it as a compliment. Thanks for that. But I never thought about it, to be honest with you. It was always I always had in mind to write the civil service exam and to be a civil servant, and it's been wonderful. The journey of the last 10 years has been absolutely wonderful. It's been better than what I had thought.
Okay,
I had a certain idea in mind of what civil service means, what working for the government means. And after I joined the government, to my surprise, I found that the opportunities for doing good work, opportunities for serving the public in the government are manifold and very, very diverse. So for instance, as an IPS officer, you could be serving in the district as a district SP. You could be looking after the law and order. You could then be on deputation to a paramilitary force, Central Armed Paramilitary Forces, like your BSF and CRPF. You get that operational militaristic exposure and experience. You could be part of intelligence and get exposure to that craft. You could be part of investigation agencies like CBI or with NIA and get that kind of an exposure. You could be part of intelligence. I already said intelligence. Foreign intelligence, technical intelligence. Then there are think tanks that you can be part of and hone your intellectual abilities. So the government as an institution is much more diverse and much bigger than what I had imagined before joining it.
But never felt like that, how will I adjust into that situations coming from that typical northeastern background? It's northern parts of the country.
So in fact my background, although I'm from Himachal Pradesh, and I love my state, but I come from a military family. So that really is what defines my background more than the state of Himachal itself. My father is an army officer, and so is my father-in-law. In fact, we're just completely, military background on all sides. So that entailed living in different places. I did 12 years of my schooling from 11 different schools.
Oh my God.
That's what happened, and it was all over the country. Northeast, south, north, everywhere. So for me, coming to a new place and working there was not an issue at all. It never crossed my mind. I mean, not even for a day.
Okay.
Not even for a day. Not even on the first day that I reported to the state of Andhra Pradesh did I ever feel any sense of discomfort on that count. Because I remember in I don't recall which standard was it. I think it was 8th standard. In the same year, I changed 4 schools. So I remember that as well. So that's never been an issue. There's a sense of, I always have a sense of anticipation, excitement, about going to new places and experiencing new things. So that for me was a big advantage. In fact, I loved it. I absolutely still love it. I still continue to seek out, new experiences, new places, new people.
Yesterday, I think 2 days back, we were talking that, ma'am is a doctor and she also comes from that background. I got your point of view that you said you are okay because you have been moved from your childhood days. What was her opinion when you said that we need to move, after marriage to this place?
Oh, so similar. I mean, identical to mine. So I've been really lucky in that respect that I told you she's also an army officer's daughter. So she also has the same army background. She also moved all over the place. Perhaps not as much as I did because I had different personal circumstances. But she's the same. Very, very similar. She's studied abroad. So she has done her education abroad. So already she is used to living and speaking a different language, living in a different culture. And for her too, being here was tremendous. I mean, in fact, I'll not be surprised if between the two of us, she's even happier than I am
really?
On account of being here. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're lucky, we're very fortunate that way. I mean, you're right that, it perhaps it wouldn't, these circumstances wouldn't obtain for everyone. But luckily for me and my wife, I mean, we just absolutely love this place. We're so at home here, so much at home here.
I want to get into that point which you were describing off the camera. Like you said, in Himachal, the population count is around 70 lakhs, up and down, But you said you had a district which was half of the population count. Can you just tell and describe how is Andhra Pradesh to the people, those who actually from that part of the country have never been to here?
So Andhra Pradesh as a state, of course, it has an ancient culture, like much of India, of course, and it has had many empires and kingdoms, and it's been part of the state was part of the British presidency of Madras. Part of it was under the Nizam. That part is now Telangana today. And this state has a long history of governance, and it's that history that we inherit today in our capacity as government officials. So one of the artifacts of that history is very large districts. Historically, we've had historically all over the country there were large districts actually, and in many states they kept on reorganizing and getting it down to smaller sizes. For its own peculiar reasons, in Andhra Pradesh, the districts remained very large. Till recently. Last year they were reorganized. So before they were reorganized, almost all districts of Andhra Pradesh were in the list of the largest districts of the country. In the top 10, so I remember till last year, in the top 10 districts of the country, population-wise or size-wise, I think 3 or 4 were from, or maybe 5 or 6 were from Andhra Pradesh, from a single state. I remember Anantapur being, really large. So Prakasham, where I was SP, was the 10th largest district in the country.
My God.
Anantapur and Kurnool were even larger, and I think Mehboob which is now in Telangana, was also very large. So that's a different experience altogether. That exposure that you get as a civil servant serving in these districts is tremendous. It gives you this broad spectrum of exposure to all the issues that come in the course of governance, and it's a privilege. It's really a privilege serving in a state like that.
So if you can describe that number games, as you were saying, once in one of the district you used to have 84 police stations.
Yes.
In that way, if you can describe if somebody is aspiring for this.
Okay, so we're talking of last year. We're talking of last year before the division. So at the time, if I'm not mistaken, Anantapur district had 84 police stations. 84 police stations. That's huge. Especially if you compare to the north of India, you'd probably have 10 to 15 police stations in a district on average, maybe 20, and if it's a large district, maybe 25. Anantapur had 84 police stations. Kurnool had 80. I was SP Kurnool a while back, and so this gives you an idea of the scale of things. Even population-wise, also, all districts of Andhra Pradesh prior to this, on average, had 40 to 50 lakhs population. Some even more. Oh
my God.
Today, after reorganization, our districts are fairly large. we've reorganized districts to roughly the size of parliamentary constituencies. Even today, they continue to be very large, robust administrative units, which have each district has its own unique flavor, both administratively and culturally, and it's wonderful actually to explore each of those places, one by one as we get to do in our service.
बचपन की कुछ चीज़ें मिस करते हो जैसे naughtiness and these things. We all are like that. Now in this service आपको रहना पड़ता है क्योंकि आप एक इमेज बनता है कप्तान साहब के एक इमेज बनता है because typically that कप्तान साहब, if anybody from the South Indian they don't know, the SPs are called the कप्तान साहब है ना, तो एक वो इमेज बना के चलता है, तो वो दिक्कत देती है कभी कभी कि वो ओपन अप नहीं हो पाना एंड वो इसी में ढल जाना एक तरह से अच्छा है, एक तरह से बचपन के सिद्धार्थ को मिस करते हो?
I guess सब में that वो बचपन हम सब में होता ही है, and of course the fact is that we occupy a public position, a public office. This is a constitutionally mandated statutory office that we occupy, and उसमें one has to present and one has to be their best self. I as an officer have to be better than myself as a human being or as an individual private person. So of course there's a very high standard of conduct that we have to maintain, and we must, because as a citizen, just as a private person, I would expect that of my government officials. So wo hai, and one has to be maintaining a high standard is never easy. So it's always it can be difficult at times. It requires you to really exercise and be your best self all the time. So that's there, but again it has its own rewards. आपको अच्छा भी बहुत लगता है because it makes you better as a person. आप improve होते हो, आप you become more mature, and आपको चीज़ों को और अच्छे से आप समझते हो. You even in your individual life you become better.
How policing made you matured?
Because in policing you are forced to confront very difficult situations. आप इतनी sensitive, इतनी difficult, इतनी crucial situations को face करते हो. आप under pressure, under extreme pressures काम करते हो, और आप कई बार आपको courageous होना पड़ता है, कई बार आपको mature होना पड़ता है, कई बार आपको अपने instincts को control करके आपको decision लेना पड़ता है, कई बार आपको अपने instincts को सुन के आगे जाना पड़ता है. So आपको इतनी situations में डिसीजन लेने की और ऑपरेट करने की आदत पड़ जाती है पुलिस में, दैट इट मेक्स यू ओवरऑल अ मोर केपेबल पर्सन. और ये पुलिस में आई वुड से इज ट्रू फॉर एवरीबॉडी एट एवरी लेवल. एक सिपाही से लेकर एक कांस्टेबल से लेकर डीजीपी तक सभी के लिए ये एप्लीकेबल है. दैट बीइंग अ कॉप, बीइंग अ पुलिसमैन, इट रियली ब्रिंग्स आउट द स्ट्रेंथ ऑफ योर कैरेक्टर. आपके व्यक्तित्व में जो पूरा सामर्थ्य है उसको पूरा बाहर निकाल के लेके आ जाता है. दैट्स द बेस्ट थिंग अबाउट दिस.
whole day, sir. I've been following you. How naturally goes? Like, I think ये तो थोड़ा सा you were helping us try these beautiful foods.
Yeah.
But you know, what's your diet basically?
So I'm a little diet conscious.
Okay.
I have been
You look
for
like
a while. Yeah. I essentially I try to get about a lot of protein, and I tend to get about 100 grams of protein a day. वो थोड़ा मेरा agenda रहता है खाने में. And apart from that, I avoid junk food as much as possible. Not always possible. And I love sweets, and that's why I have to be careful about it. Otherwise, it can really add calories very fast. So I have cheat days. That's what I do. The standard practice. So that's how.
What's your favorite sweet, by the way?
Very difficult to say that, man. So I love the regular traditional Indian sweets like jalebi and some of these laddus, and then I also love the European desserts.
Okay.
I love souffles, and I love some of these pastries. Similarly, a lot of traditional Andhra sweets are really, really good. So I really like those as well. There's something called portray.
Okay.
It's called paper sweet. It's really nice. It's like a thin layer of edible starch paper, and you have jaggery in it. It's really nice.
So how to start this thing? Let's try the food.
Okay, so I think you just dive straight in. Just do that.
Okay, let's start
See
from
what
this.
you like. Yeah.
I think this is like mirchi.
Mirchi bhaji, yeah, mirchi bhaji. It has its origin in Rajasthan, Marwari community, but now it's really popular in Andhra as well.
Oh, this was not from Andhra. It came from Rajasthan.
Originally, yes. But now it's popular all over the Telugu states. Yeah.
There's one thing like, today, spending the whole day with you, I have understood. And like especially in policing, the the ups and downs are not counted in days. The ups and downs are counted in hours and seconds and minutes.
Yeah.
But then also I've seen, like, when I'm asking you, I might be irritating, sir, we need this shot, but you're still coordinating in between all this, you know, your own struggles, I would not say struggles, professional things and all. How you are managing, or how you have been learning this from like last 8 years?
That's because of it's, see, when you handle the police establishment of, you know, a territory, it's not really a defined job. I wouldn't call it a job. It's a responsibility, essentially. So job is, you know, defined. It is limited. There you understand what's to be done, what's not to be done. A responsibility is not limited. Responsibility is unlimited. It's you're responsible for the territory. Anything can happen, and you have to respond to what happens. So the inherently policing in India is a responsibility rather than a job. And you have to prepare to respond to situations as they come. There cannot be a set template for everything. We have standard operating procedures, we have consistency in the way we apply law, but every situation is unique. Every law and order situation is unique. Every sometimes complex crimes are unique. The socio-economic conditions in which those crimes happen are unique. So this is you know, this dazzling array of complexity that we have to face. उसकी वजह से we are just used to continuously responding to situations as they arise. You get used to not, you know, you start expecting the unexpected. Basically, you don't. It doesn't follow any set template. It's not a very predictable job. You know, policing in India is not. So that's. I guess it becomes a part of your second nature. Then, you know, that's how it happens.
You basically saying something which I have learned talking with so many bureaucrats. That is quick response. So out of the world, where I have seen that mostly people think, what's the role of an SP and the senior officers? Everything is sorted. There is so many people between your, you know, behind that. It's the main role. What I understand is the decision making. And when you have been, you know, managing some of the districts, the big districts, or whatever the charges, these situations happen in a certain uncertain moment, and you are the person who need to take the decisions. At a certain point of time, you are not sure that is it okay, or you taking the risk. How is that moment goes in your mind? What goes in your mind all the time that time?
No, absolutely. So see, that's what. So we are accountable to many stakeholders: the public, the citizens, you know, the courts, other departments of the government. For instance, the revenue department, the media these days, the political executive. So there are multiple stakeholders in the system, and we are accountable to all of them. So one has to keep in mind, you know, the complexity of a situation, and take a stakeholder approach, so that you should not be faulting on any count, or as far as possible. You know, it's not always possible to have an optimum solution to a problem, but keeping in mind the constraints of the law, and keeping in mind the public interest, act in good faith. Act in good faith. You will not always be sure. I mean, you can never be sure. You'll have doubts as you're acting. You'll have self-doubt when you're taking a decision. But take it. Go ahead in good faith, in keeping with the law, and ensuring maximum well-being and welfare of the largest number of stakeholders. Just go ahead and do it. 9 out of 10 times you'll be fine. 1 out of 10 times, you know, you'll be wrong, but that's okay. That's part of life.
So you please have it.
No.
I might taking time from your dinner.
No, not at all. Not at all.
In between these things, sir, I will get into something which you were saying just few times back, that at this age, like I'm near about 30 right now. When I was 18, I was 20s. I think everybody at this age, breakup was something we couldn't take care. I think that's the worst of our life. At this age, I feel that was nothing, because life is pushing me into so many other things. You are elder than me. Your responsibilities are more than what I have. How you see yourselves? There might be many youths watching. They have been broken out by their personal agendas or personal relationships. How is life? How you see in this last, you know, 30 plus years of your life? How you see how you've been molded every time?
Well, you see, you're right. You know, of course, as one grows in years and experience, you tend to be able to handle adversity better. That happens. But again, not to trivialize, problems which happen at other stages of life. When you're younger, you're right. We used to get upset about small things, which now seem small, but at the time it affected our mental health. It did. So I think a part of handling sensitive assignments which have a very wide scope of impact, it sort of trains you to be a little stoic, which is to say that not to be delighted very easily, at the same time not to be very despondent very easily, keeping your emotions in control. That happens, and you also become more accepting of the way things are. As when we were younger, we always are quick to find fault with things. We want to imagine things in a certain way. We think that we know and we understand, and this is how we have a view of the world, and in an ideal world how it should be. But as you mature, as I've matured, the process of maturity for me has been that it's been more of understanding. As a young adult, one tends to go through this rebel without a cause phase. So as one matures, one begins to see, inherently the nature of things, and you begin to accept, things as they are, and you start dealing with things on their own terms, and then I practice a lot of gratitude and goodwill. That's what I try to do all the time, being grateful for everything to everybody, and again harboring goodwill for everyone and everything. That's what I try to do. So essentially that's the lesson of life that I've learned so far, and I'm trying my best to live up to that.
कुछ बचपन में वापस जाते हैं. आप पले बड़े हो एक डिफेंस फैमिली में, as we know, your father was in defense. Now you being an IPS officer, आपने वो वाले भी लाइव देखा है, how the life of an army man क्या जाता है. जब आप खुद एक IPS officer, what's the difference you find in defense service and police service?
Oh, there's a lot of difference here. So I'll tell you, the biggest difference is, of course, it may not hold as true today as it did when I was a child growing up in that environment. So the military, Army, Navy, Air Force, that organization, that institution is much more, it has its own boundaries, and it is not, it has its own subculture, a very strong subculture, very strong boundaries, very strong identity. And because of historical reasons, it has a lot of, one wouldn't say, how to put this, it has its own traditions, which are not there. People outside might not understand it.
Can you give some examples?
Yeah, for instance, the way we greet each other in the army as kids, we would say good evening sir, good evening ma'am, from a very young age.
Okay.
And there was a certain way we were expected to dress up, and there was a protocol and etiquette and everything, and socialization also had different norms and different connotations, and life in cantonments. So we lived in cantonments basically, so you're really you're not very well integrated into the civilian areas, so the culture of the place where you're staying. So suppose I'm staying in Jalandhar cantonment or in Ambala cantonment. So the local culture of Jalandhar or Ambala doesn't impinge on that too much. You have this sort of standardized army culture which is there, and you grow up in that. So when you come out, you see things a little differently. Police, on the other hand, as an institution, is totally embedded into the culture of the place where we serve. So Andhra Pradesh Police is an integral part of Andhra Pradesh, totally integrated into the culture of Andhra Pradesh. Whereas the army is separate. They maintain a separate identity, separate culture. So this is like the biggest difference. One institution, the police, is totally integrated into the territory they serve. The other one, army, is for historical reasons. They have a totally different, unique and strong cultural identity.
But initially it was difficult for you because you have been in such a situation from a long time, and then you have been adjusting with this situation. So initially it was different.
Yes, of course. So so I left the army sort of environment or my home after my 12th standard. I went to Delhi University, And since then, it's been a continuous, getting used to the civilian life. So I had, 3 years of college and then 2 years of post-graduation, a year of work, and a year of service, and then 2 years of training. So I've had some time. There's been time to slowly get used to it, and that's how it's been. And I feel very fortunate that I've had the exposure of the military. The military life is a very good, very disciplined life, and there's a lot that everybody can learn from it and benefit from. I certainly have imbibed a lot of those values, and I'm very grateful for that. I think it helps me in my profession as well, in my current profession as well, in many ways.
You didn't try for NDA and CDA?
I did. I got selected in NDA. So almost all army children do. All army kids write the NDA or the IMA CDS exam. So I wrote the NDA exam. I got selected. So at the time, together with the family, we thought perhaps we'll not commit to an irreversible career path at that age. I was in 12th. I was about 17 or so. So that time my parents prevailed upon me not to join, and maybe in another 3-4 years time after college, if I still feel like it, perhaps write the CDS and then join. So from there on, life turned in another direction.
What do you see yourself like? It's been, if I talk about like 10 years back, Siddharth Kaushal, and right now, what is the difference you see in your personal level?
Oh, I think, I hope that I'm much more humble, and I'm much more empathetic. I'm much more. I hope I'm a better listener, and I hope that I'm more mature. I hope that I'm more benevolent. I hope that I'm able to be genuinely and more authentically be concerned about the welfare of others. I hope I'm less egoistic. I hope I'm less rash and negligent. So yeah, I can only hope that these things are true, but everybody else will be the judge of that.
There's one question always I kept on my mind when I meet aspirants nowadays. If you don't feel like you don't want to answer, you can just omit it. Many times I see that some of the kids are being glamorized, that this is a profession where you can earn a lot of money from other sources. But I have been like shooting and meeting so many officers in last 2 years. The reality is something different, which is not being portrayed. What's your point of view on this?
No, that's very unfortunate. I'd say that this, if at all, this discourse around public office, that the whole idea of holding a public office for personal gain, I think it's a very unfortunate thing. And if anybody has that in mind, then I'd say that those people or that individual is not really fit for public service. Public service and holding an important public office is first and foremost about serving the public interest, and it always has to be about that. And to the best of my experience and my personal experience, my knowledge, I've always met, I've always believed, and I've always witnessed that almost everyone who is holding an important public office, including the civil service, including our services, is committed to the public interest. And if there are aberrations, if there are any aberrations, they have to be dealt with strictly, and they usually are. I mean, in today's day and age, aberrations and deviances from norms of propriety are not taken very lightly. I mean, governments have very low tolerance for any kind of corruption. Public has very low tolerance for it. The media, as I said, there's so many things holding you accountable that if at all anybody has an idea that they would join a public office with the intent of personal gain, firstly, that's a completely wrong idea, and then secondly, the system doesn't spare such people. There is accountability enforced in multiple ways. You're accountable to so many institutions, and those institutions function very well nowadays, even more so than maybe 20-30 years ago. Perhaps it was different, but now in this day and age, it's not that at all. It's not that at all, and I do hope that nobody harbors the ambition to come to civil service or public office with this in mind. I would truly think that that's very unfortunate if someone does that. Yeah.
Can you share some stories that it's still memorable in your Andhra Pradesh journey, which you still, when you stay silent or you are sitting alone, you still remember that day that something happened?
Oh, there'd be many. I mean, so for instance, I mean, not a specific memory, like the things I really love about Andhra Pradesh. Firstly is the food. Food is absolutely brilliant here. I mean, I would say that Andhra Pradesh food is one of the best in the world. I've been abroad. I've traveled abroad, and I'm a foodie. I eat a lot, different cuisines. I know, like, a lot of people will not like me saying this.
Even I don't agree on that.
People in the other states will say that no, our food is the best. But I am firm believer that Andhra food is just outstanding. So that's been one of the best parts of best part about being in Andhra Pradesh. Then another thing which I really like here is that people are very polite. People are very respectful, very God-fearing, very reverential, and they respect they respect education. They respect officials. That way it's been wonderful, living in this culture and becoming immersed in it, becoming part of it.
Any personal memory?
Specifically, what kind of a memory would you say?
Any memories, like when you see, like, you have been 2-3 district SPs, you still remember, that thing happened.
So I'll tell you, I mean, in terms of course, professionally, I have a lot of things that we've done as a team, as the district police team, that I'm very proud of, and I remember very fondly. Personally, as I told you, it's just the experience of living here in this state, in this culture. The everyday life that one has in this culture. That's why I said, the food that you eat every day, the interactions with people every day. So it's the everyday experience of living here, which really is what makes me emotionally, which binds me emotionally to this culture. So personal memories. In particular, I mean, there'll be so many. I've traveled around the state, and the state has dense rainforests in the north part of the state, and there we used to go for operations, and there visiting those villages, hamlets rather, very remote habitations. Primitive tribal groups inhabit those places. So those were some of those unique experiences which only officers who serve in this part of the country and in Andhra Pradesh and Telangana cadre, only those officers will get that experience, and perhaps maybe in Orissa and other places which have that terrain and that social economic context. So I remember that as something unique, something unique to Andhra Pradesh. Then Sankranti, Sankranti is a big festival here. It's celebrated all across the country, but Sankranti in Andhra Pradesh is very special. People come back from all over the world. Telugu diaspora is spread across the world. They come back from all over the world and they gather here, and the village atmosphere during Sankranti is very unique. It's a very special experience. I strongly recommend that you should visit the state sometime during Sankranti. It is the best. It is the best. So much festivity and so much fun, and there's you feel that it's sort of a beautiful and energetic expression of community bonds and of this bonhomie and that celebration of this culture, this place. It's really good. That's what I would say has been really good about this place.
I won't take much of your time. I would end it in last 2 questions. The second last question would be, now it's been, I think it's 12 years now you in the service, 12 or 13?
Yeah, I think 11-ish.
11-ish,
yeah.
Okay. For a civilian like us, and 11 years back you were also a civilian, what do you thought that this service will be, and when you are in the service, what do you feel that, no, this is the things which I thought, but this is the things a civilian should know about you, or rather the department?
Oh, absolutely. So when I was an outsider, I had a certain fear of the police, and I also thought I never imagined that how hard the police has to work to ensure that life as usual carries on in the society. I never understood that. As a civilian, I used to just imagine that the police are there to perhaps enforce and perhaps to punish, to monitor, to be vigilant. But I didn't realize that how much deliberate planning, how much hard work, how much going out of the way is involved on the part of police for our day-to-day society and our functioning to go on. So for example, I used to attend these मेलास, बचपन में मेला होता है, गांव में होते थे, शहरों में होते थे, टाउन्स में होते थे, तो मेले में जाके आ गए खुशी से, and you're happy at home. वो कभी स्ट्राइक नहीं किया कि इस मेले के लिए जो लोकल पुलिस स्टेशन है उसने पूरा एक बंदोबस्त बनाया है, डिप्लॉयमेंट करी है, प्लानिंग हुई है, रात को ड्यूटीज चल रही हैं, शिफ्ट में चल रहा है. Didn't strike me back then. You see the traffic, moving, आपको वो ट्रैफिक में पुलिस वाला दिख जाता है, वो ट्रैफिक पुलिस को छोड़ के कुछ पता नहीं होता.
Exactly.
You don't realize that even say intelligence. You never thought as an outsider, I never realized that the intelligence apparatus of the country is essentially police-led, and everything that you think of as very grave dangers like terrorism, organized crime, violent crime, economic offences, large-scale frauds. ये सब के पीछे there is so much continuous criminal intelligence that is working to prevent, and that is working to ensure that the law enforcement and the government has advantage over these antisocial elements. ये भी समझ नहीं आता. We don't imagine that intelligence is something that the police does. We always probably perhaps think it's the military or it's something else.
Can you brief a little bit that point, like the intelligence that police does?
Yeah, so I'll tell you. So think of the intelligence agencies in the country.
Okay.
Intelligence Bureau, the IB, which looks after all the domestic intelligence. It's essentially a police-led organization. So देश में कहीं भी दंगे हों, देश में कहीं भी political disturbance हो, देश में कहीं भी terrorism हो, naxalism हो, everything that happens inside the country is monitored by the Intelligence Bureau.
Exactly.
That's a police-led organization. Similarly, you have state intelligence. In the state itself, we have an intelligence wing headed by a chief of intelligence. They monitor everything, every little development, including crime, including possibilities of crime, a likely clash, a likely riot. All these things are monitored by the state intelligence. Think of foreign intelligence, monitoring or gathering information which affect India's interest abroad from outside India's borders. That's done by the Research and Analysis Wing, the RAW, which is again a police-led organization. And similarly, we have NTRO, National Technical Research Organization. So a lot of technical intelligence, image intelligence, all of that is gathered by our NTRO, again a police-led organization. So National Investigation Agency, all terrorism cases like the Pulwama case and all these important cases are investigated by the National Investigation Agency, again a police-led organization. So the range of activities which the police does are staggering, and as a civilian, as an outsider, you never come to know of it. The borders of the country are secured by Central Armed Police Forces, CAPFs. Those are all the CRPF, the BSF, the SSB, ITBP. So these are again all police-led organizations. So people don't usually imagine, people don't imagine that police performs such a wide variety of functions. Usually people will have a limitation in their understanding. Police kya hai to wo traffic wala and the thane wala, bas utna tak. But that's something that I realized after I came in, that police is everywhere, and as an institution it is so critical. ये बाहर नहीं समझ आता. Really, you don't understand. When you come inside, you appreciate that.
So इतना कुछ जब आप इतने सारे चीज़ें आपके साथ होता है ना, जैसे आप बता रहे थे, क्राइम है, इंटेलिजेंस है, इतने सारा चीज़ से आप एक आदमी अकेला जूझते हो ना, आपके सोचने का तरीका बदल देता है सालों के बाद.
अच्छा देखो, इसमें ये है कि of course there is a team, there is a whole structure in place. I mean SP है of course, पर SP के साथ there are additional SPs, there are DSPs, there are inspectors, sub inspectors, constabulary, everybody is there. So there is a whole structure to handle things. The system is designed in such a way कि उस सिस्टम में कोई भी एक आदमी या औरत ज़्यादा ओवरवेल्म ना हो जाए. But the reality is that yes, as a district SP, it sometimes gets very critical, and it can be overwhelming. Because you're a human after all. So, in those instances, then the department steps in. So the department will give you support. Suppose आपके district में कोई बहुत बड़ा problem हो गया, which you're not able to handle on your own. The district resources are not enough. The district police is not enough. Then your senior police leadership will step in. They will give you support. They will send officers. They will send equipment. They will send men. So that's how we do it then. And then continuously we keep taking guidance of our seniors. We have a DIG above us. We have the DGP. So we keep taking guidance from them. So they guide us and they tell us. So they have done all these things, for 30 years. So they have an idea of how to solve these problems. So often it gets overwhelming, but at the same time there is adequate support in place for you to be able to cope with that.
No, I mean to say, moreover, my question was like that कि आपको पर्सनल लेवल पे अलग बनाते हैं ये सारी चीज़. जब आप खुद कोई भी सिचुएशन देखते हो, आप एक आम जनता से अलग तरीके से देखते हो, कैसे उसको सजाते हो कि क्या है सच्चाई घटना?
Yes, true to some extent. I mean, you're right. I mean, of course, आपको as a police officer, you get a very realistic, ground level and very close quarters view of society. That is true. I mean, अगर आप बैंगलोर में या बॉम्बे में कॉर्पोरेट में काम कर रहे हैं, you sitting in a air conditioned building and you commuting in a car, आप लैपटॉप पे काम करते हो, that's a very different, you have a very different exposure and very different view of things. But जब आप गवर्नमेंट में हो और स्पेशली जब आप पुलिस में हो तो आपको you get a very, as I said, grounded view of reality. So that deepens your understanding. आपकी जो understanding है, it deepens actually. You have a deeper and more concrete understanding of things which happen on the ground. So in that sense, yes, it changes you. It makes you आपके जो opinions और आपकी जो सोच है, it becomes very grounded. मतलब आप unrealistic or you don't have how do I put it? मतलब you become very grounded, and at the same time I would say it really matures you as an individual. आपको एक maturity के साथ आप हर चीज़ को deal करना शुरू करते हो उसके बाद. That's what happens.
Thank you so much for giving such a long time. You didn't have the food. We were talking so much deep into it.
Yeah.
How was your experience? And I just want to your feeling doing the podcast with us and what you felt.
It was really good. I mean, I always I'm glad that we had the opportunity to interact like this. Surely there is a lot of young people who are today consuming content through internet, and our country has one of the best internet landscapes. So a lot of young people, a lot of people in rural areas, a lot of people in remote areas, a lot of segments of the society are today consuming information through the internet. So I'm glad, and I hope that through your channel we're able to reach out, and we're able to people are able to understand, develop a better understanding, deeper understanding of what the civil service is all about, what policing is all about, especially the young people, because not everybody reads papers, not everybody watches news. So I hope that through this podcast we're able to reach out, and we're able to positively influence and positively present what civil service is all about, what government is all about, and what police is all about.
Thank you so much, sir. If you have any feedback about me and how you feel, you can share that too. That will be a learning from my side.
No, absolutely. I mean, I think you're doing a great job. You're good at what you do, and I wish you all the best. And keep in touch. We keep interacting. You're doing a good job, because I truly believe that there is a large segment of the country, particularly the young people, who need to be sensitized to the values of public service. They need to be sensitized to the meaning and significance of public service, public office. So you're contributing to that. It helps. Ultimately, I believe it helps in nation building. If more and more people are sensitized about public service, about public values, about what governance is, I believe it contributes to nation building, and I'm sure that you in your own way you're doing that.
Thank you so much.
Right.